Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. Buxton Village is known by many people because of its fame or infamy. But people don't know Buxton. They don't know my Buxton. I'm Dr. Pauline Baird, a Buxtonian Guyanese. I was born and raised in Buxton Village and lived there for most of my life. I want to tell you a little bit about Buxton. I tell the stories because I'm a cultural bearer who likes to share stories about the women of Buxton so that we can continue their oral histories. I tell you hidden stories, family traditions, forgotten and hidden cultural traditions. And today I want to tell you about women so that we can continue their histories because some of these women are unsung. So, let me talk story. A particular woman comes to mind. I used to see her at the marketplace. In fact, you would hear her before you see her. She would make these moaning and groaning sounds and mutterings. But let me describe her for you. And Buxton people, tell me what the story said. She was about 4'11", dark, noticeable bow legs. Sometimes she would wear a bright red scarf on her head, always in a bright calico dress, gather-waisted. And you would sometimes hear her singing. Sometimes she had bad words to say to people. If you got close, you got a whiff of her perfume. The scent of fresh, perhaps homegrown tobacco. This woman was no ordinary woman. She was a force. On her hands, on her wrist, she wore 2 thick gold bracelets. You could hear the clinking of the bracelets. They don't make women like her anymore. She didn't even have an honorific before her name. We didn't say miss or cousin or anything. She had one name, Baka. And when she had 2 names, was Baka Auntie. Y'all know Baka Auntie. Baka Auntie used to sing, Baka Auntie, Borbishan, take out the man, zombie, all night you get in the fire, all night you make a rubber roti. That's what we thought she used to sing. People think Baka was a little touched, crazy, loco, mad, insane. But Baka was very vital to the village. Imagine, let's say you were going to have a baby soon and you needed somebody to clean up the house. You went to someone like Baka. You see, in Buxton, they have 2 kinds of people. People who work, who go to a job, and people who does work. People who does work, does make their own job. And Baka was an industry by herself. Baka made her own job and put her stamp on it. So, let's say you want a cleaner. You tell Baka to come to the house. Baka arrives at the house, calico dress and everything. She would get a bucket, fill it up with water, put in the J's fluid or Dettol or bleach or whatever, lye. Back in the day they used to use lye. And she would clean the house floors. Baka would go into the room as she's directed where to clean. When Baka is about to clean, you got to clear out. Everybody got to clear out. Because Baka would take the dress hem and tuck it up into her long panty legs. You know, they used to call it drawers long ago. Baka used to wear drawers. So Baka used to tuck it up. So Baka dressed all up by her hip, way up to catch her waist. And she got the bow legs. And Baka would put the soap in the water and she'd take the floor cloth. Imagine this cloth is so. And Baka put it inside of the bucket. And she squeeze it a little bit. And she put it on the floor and she begin to wipe. And Baka wiping. And Baka don't wipe and be quiet. Baka make it nice. Baka Auntie, Bobishan, take out the man, zombie, all night to get in the fire, all night to make a rubber double roti. That's Baka. And then, oh, I didn't tell you, Baka had a thing called a scraper. If y'all don't know what a scraper is a piece of galvanized about 3 inches or 4 inches in length and about 2.5 inches in width. And it's a thing you use to scrub the floor, and Baka would start to scrape. When Baka scraped, she wanted to scrape out all the floorboard. But she did a good job. After Baka finished cleaning, you can't even find any place to sit down because the whole place wet. Sometimes when Baka cleaning, Baka would start to talk. Hey, na bother me, na bother me, na bother me. Hey, hey. Nobody but Baka in the house. Baka talking to someone that we cannot see and we cannot hear. Baka was special. So when Baka finished cleaning, Baka would go on the back step and sit down. And then she offered her food, and she would get her food and eat it. That is the only time Baka ever quiet. Baka was quiet because it was good manners to be quiet when you're eating. Now let me tell y'all something. In Buxton, don't bother eat and sing. Eating and singing is not a good thing. People who just eat and sing scraven. You want to know what I mean by scraven? It means to be craven. To be so hungry for food, you got to be singing and eating it and scarfing it down. No, Baka ate properly. Baka had manners. So Baka would eat very quietly. And after Baka done eat quietly, Baka would head off to find a nice shady tree. Under the mommy tree is where Baka would go and sit down, right by the bush dam, cooling waters in the trench. And not for very long you start to hear Baka, but this time Baka ain't singing. Baka snoring. Baka snoring and snore so loud like if she pulling wood at Tulsi Prasad. That's Baka. After Baka don't sleep, Baka get up. Baka come back and she collects your money. And then you know, you hear Baka gone up the road. You go in the house and you look at the floorboard. The floorboard dry and everything nice and clean and white looking. But half the floorboard, they on top of the floorboard because Baka scrape up all the board, roll up shavings, damp they all over. You got to sweep it out. When you call him Baka gone up line, Baka Auntie, Bobby, Shan, take out the man, John, you can hear her long from where she went. Now, I tell this story about Baka because she's one of our unsung heroes. I don't even know her real name. If anybody knows Baka's real name, please tell me, because I want to write her story. I want her story to be on our lips and on the lips of the children, because they were women who performed very valuable services. Can you imagine? Baka was a one-man merry maid. Yes, that was what Baka was. And Baka could be called for anything. And Baka is a woman we should remember. Now, in the day of the coronavirus, you think about cleaning. Every time I think about Baka, I'm thinking about cleaning. When I'm washing my hands, because you know you gotta wash your hand as if you're washing your hand on steroids. You got to really scrub up your hand with soap and water to keep this coronavirus thing at a level. So, let's take a page of the Baka book. You don't got to use a scraper to scrape your hand. You don't got to do any of that, but you got to get your soap and your water at the very least and be very aware. There was a time in Buxton where people used to take pride in cleaning. They used to clean up the trench. I remember being home not so long ago. I see Walk on Dead Son been cleaning the trench. Yes. And then Neptune cleaning up the trench. People are doing things in the village. Just like we can take pride in cleaning up our village, or taking more pride in cleaning up the village, we can take pride in helping ourselves stay safe and others, keeping out of crowds, you know, keeping that to a minimum, and being aware of our personal hygiene. If you know about the story, tell me the story. Let me talk the story, and let the people know what the story say. Y'all walk good.